Oh, okay. Nobody wants.
My granddaughter was in the bar and walked to a house and we found one.
I have, but it's a good one.
That's what I did. And my daughter helped me. Yeah.
How many lanes do you want?
Exactly right.
I've told this many times. It works pretty good.
You know, probably.
Well, I suppose we can cover.
You gotta find
He had a stack printer on there. No, doesn't. Yeah, you guys didn't have to come to elections this time. Not yet. I don't think you will this time. Yeah, you guys didn't have November though.
We didn't get anything.
No.
Well, I think
I am, recreating.
oh, Darrell.
Did he not?
He was the ringleader that went around saying.
Well, then
That's how they
proposal to declare emergency.
Which was explicitly against the governor's.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so it's symbolic only. So they wasted all that time and did nothing.
Yes, it did pass the liability.
Really? I hadn't heard that. The amended. So what they do with absentee share. Last I heard that was trouble. And that was what I wanted.
Why?
So we've got one.
And I have these things that Monica gave, these would have to sign for our county budget, that's the stuff. Are you on, you got to turn your audio off on your, on that.
I got to turn down what?
You got to turn your audio off on your pad.
Oh, up here? And I just turned Let's try that. Now they can't hear me. WebEx can't. I apologize. I'm extremely technologically challenged. Okay. I don't know if they can hear me on WebEx.
Ask.
Greg Rath, can you hear me? He's muted. Turn your mic on, Greg. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good evening, all of you. This is a public hearing on the Canyon County Fiscal Year 2021 budget. And welcome. It's very, very nice to have all of you here. And many of our department heads are here. I see members of our Sheriff's Department, they're here. IT, the clerk and the controller. It's very good to have all of you here. Thank you for taking the time. All three commissioners, like I said, are here. We are also WebExing this budget presentation. We do have people on WebEx, and so this is a public hearing, and if you are, I see Alyssa Kirkpatrick. If I don't know you, and if you are an employee, I'm still going to ask. Would you like to testify? Alyssa? Okay. Okay, that's good. I know there's one, and I know Julie. Leanne is from your department. Patricia Nielsen. You're here and there. Oh, okay. I thought you were just trying to. Okay, Robert Fuller. He is? Okay, I guess Robert, if you are on and you hear me, and do you wish to testify at this hearing? Okay. And Jason Culbertson, is he an employee too? Okay. So, okay, at that time, we only have, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Yeah. We only have one individual signed up to speak, so we'll swear that individual in.
Typically, we don't swear at budget hearings, it's just public comment, and I think we're going to just talk about the county budget or ambulance budget.
Okay. So, we don't swear them in, I want to.
But you want both?
Yeah. 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 Just stand right where you're at, and if you're going to speak.
Matt Tobek, you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth,
Thank you, Matt. You may be seated. Thank you, all of you. At this time, what we will do is the commissioners are now going to be seated as the board for the Canyon County Ambulance District. Michael Stoll, who is the chief of that district, is with us. And we have some business to take care of for the ambulance district at this meeting also.
Hopefully have the agenda.
Right.
That on? We do.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm going to move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Down to the budget hearing part.
Okay. Motion to open the hearing?
I move that we open the hearing.
And I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
For a staff report, our legal put this together, and that must be part of what ambulance districts typically do. But I don't have a specific staff report, but what I will say, just about staff, that I feel really thankful to work with the staff that I do on a normal year, and then you throw in a pandemic and work in healthcare, and I'm extremely thankful to work with the staff that we do. We've got people working from home, working in the office, working different hours, different equipment. In the field, it's just unbelievable what they're having to go through, the amount of decon that they do before, during, after calls compared to what they used to do. The wearing, usually we just wear gloves, maybe a mask in the flu season, but now every single call, mask, gloves, gown, all of that, that's something that the staff's going through. So I'm really, really thankful to the staff that we have that show up every day and just do what we have to do. So.
Question, Michael, do you have all the PPE that you need?
We do. We're definitely in good shape. We have the adequate amount now. Obviously, like everybody knows, we don't know what flu season's going to be like, but even for flu season coming, we feel like we're very well prepared for that. Worked with the county emergency manager as well and the different agencies here in the valley, and we think we're in good shape. So we're ready for it.
Thank you.
As much as we can be.
Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. So then the budget should be the next slide. First one might just be, okay, we'll start with that. This is just a slide that I usually put in, just in case you don't know a little bit about the ambulance district or forgotten just a little bit of information. Daily, we have 8 ambulances up. We also have a chase vehicle in Wilder, which is just a paramedic and a pickup that responds with Wilder ambulance. We have 1 field supervisor on duty 24 hours a day. We have 9 stations, and the nice thing about that, we actually co-house with Middleton, Nampa, Wilder fire departments, which makes for a great relationship with them. For fiscal 19, we had about 17,000 requests for service. That doesn't mean every single call had a patient, but that was how many times we were requested. And it looks like fiscal 20 will probably end up around 17,500. So we're in our busiest time of the year right now, and our call volume is actually up. So that's why you'll see about 500 more calls. Okay, then the next slide will be, sorry, that's always smaller when it's up on the screen than I always expect. But to start at the top for our A budget, between fiscal 20 and 21, we went up about $307,000 $307,839. And for salaries and benefits, and for a couple reasons. One of the reasons we increased was we did the yearly step and grade pay increases. We also added a QA position for our Treasure Valley Emergency Medical Services System. What that system is Canyon County paramedics and the fire departments in Canyon County. We formed an EMS system, and we used to do our own QA for each department. We decided it would be better we had one QA for everybody. So we added a position. It's going to be good for the system. It helps us identify areas that we can train together. It helps us all with compliance to be all on the same page. So we did add that position. And then we also made sure and fully fund every position that we had. Last year we had 2 positions that we didn't fund completely. And like I talked about earlier with the flu season coming up, with being slightly concerned with people maybe going out being quarantined, stuff like that, we want to make sure that every position we have is fully staffed and fully funded. So those are the 3 main items that made that $307,000. We did not do a COLA for this year. So moving down to B budget, the first 2 line items are the 2 big ones that had any change. The first one is capital expenses and purchases. That one went from $51,000 to $215,000, and the reason for that is we're purchasing a new ambulance. We got it in order. We probably will get it midway through the fiscal year, but that is just for one purchase. The next line down is kind of related to that. That was leases. In the past, we lease purchased ambulances and our cardiac monitors, and that was the last year in fiscal 20 for those payments. So you see that one went from $348 down to $103. So those are the 2 main line items in the B budget that changed. So overall, between the A and B budget, we had an increase of $207,000. If you drop clear down to the bottom, the revenue side, total property tax, we did not take the 3% increase that we could have. We did budget to take the new construction roll, which is $121,739. Total service fees for revenue, we kept that flat. Those are our ambulance fees that we project what we're going to make for how many calls that we go on. So we decided with a little bit of the unknown with the COVID, we don't know what our call volume is going to do. So instead of going up another 500 calls like we did for this year, we just decided let's just keep it flat, be a little bit more conservative with that. And then, let's see, total other revenue, that did go up. We have other small fees, like if you go register your vehicle, you'll see an EMS fee. So those fees, you know, they still went up. So we just projected that difference of $42,000. Total bad debt, we kept that flat. That one goes kind of in line with the total service fees. We kept that flat too, just because if our call volume doesn't go up, then our write-offs aren't going to go up any more than that too. So we just decided to keep that flat too, just because of the unknown with COVID. So the total at the bottom revenue is $164,562. So that's pretty much it for the budget. Questions on that?
Question?
I have no
Pretty
questions.
simple this year.
Pretty simple, yeah, appreciate
we kept
that.
it pretty simple. The COVID just kind of changed everything, and we didn't want to make any big changes. A lot of unknowns. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And we did have our budget presentation from you, and
Yes.
that was a very good discussion, and yes. Thank you, Michael. So,
Madam Chair, I'm not hearing any questions, so I'm going to, well, I guess we need to open the public hearing, I guess.
yes, we do.
I'm sorry.
There's nobody signed up. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on the Canyon County Ambulance District budget?
Seeing nobody moving, I'll make a motion to close the public comment.
Second. Moved and seconded to close public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And let's see. What do we do first here? Michael, help us
So
out.
the first one was the resolution to sign that the approval of the budget. So that's what that first resolution is.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we authorize the board to sign the resolution approving the 2021 budget for the Canyon County Ambulance District.
Second. Moved in second to sign the Resolution, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Reso signed, okay, and then?
And then the next item is, we didn't take the 3% allowable increase, but what we would like to do is reserve the right to take it in the future. The reason we would like to do this, we do have a plan for that, for those monies. In 2010, Mercy has built an ambulance station down there on their campus and has been leasing it to us. When St. Al's took over, we just continued that lease agreement with St. Al's. And as you probably know, they tore down Mercy Hospital this year, which is pretty difficult to watch. But when they tore that down, St. Alphonsus is going to list that property for sale. And the station that we were leasing is part of that property, presuming whoever buys that property is not going to leave that building up for us to be in an ambulance station. We're just assuming they're not going to. If they do, great, then maybe we can lease it from them. But we need to be proactive and think that within the next year or two, we're going to need to build another station down there. Probably work with St. Al's, but a station at today's cost, I think, is about $1.2 million to build a station. So that's why we want to reserve the right to take, I believe it's $86,444.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the ambulance district request to reserve $86,344 in foregone revenue for fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the request to reserve the foregone. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then the third one is just actually sign the L2, which you should have.
Okay, Madam Chair, I make a motion we authorize the board to sign the L2.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve and sign the L2. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good job, Michael. Okay. I'm not sure about this. I think we
Just on that same one line.
just all squeeze them in
The
here.
L2 just has that same.
Okay, I'll put the skinny on my name. There you go. This one. There. Sign, Michael. Yeah. Sign. There you go. Thank you. Good to see you. Okay. At this time, I believe we'll move into the presentation on the Canyon County fiscal year 2021 budget. So, I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah, we need a motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Madam Chair, we had a late addition to the agenda, which is this meeting, so I move that we add the fiscal year 2021 budget presentation to the agenda for today, August 26, 2020.
You know, what we need to add is the approval or denial of a resolution reserving the right to recover the 2021 foregone new construction property tax.
Okay.
That's what the motion is needed for.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
okay.
And I'll just accept that as your motion.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah.
Moved and seconded to consider the approval or denial of a resolution reserving the right to recover the fiscal year 2021 foregone new construction property tax. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else? Clerk Yamamoto?
One more, sign it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We have one other individual that wishes to speak. So we're going to swear Hubert Osborne in.
Hubert Osborne, you swear or affirm the testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, God?
Thank you. Okay, and Matt was already sworn in. So I'm watching for hand signs, so everything's clear.
Madam Chair, thank you. Commissioners, assembled guests, those online, welcome. Thank you for being here. Otherwise, it looked like a presidential convention. Glad somebody's actually here. You know, I had to chuckle when I walked in the room tonight. A year ago at this very meeting, I had broken my left arm, crushed my wrist,
right.
and a cast. I came down to the door here. I had a notebook and my Coke. I couldn't navigate the door, so I transferred my Coke to my left hand, the one that was in the cab. What I didn't know, because I hadn't used it yet, was it wouldn't support any weight and would shake violently. And I threw Coke all over myself. So tonight I'm pleased to tell you my arm is good and I did not take a Coke bath. So we'll move on with that. I think it would be appropriate, before I turn this over to Zach Wagner, the county controller, to say a few words about the CARES Act. Many of you will probably know that the state of Idaho received $1.25 billion from the Treasury as part of the CARES Act. That money was to be used for COVID-19 expenses. Along with that, 25% of what the state received was slated to go to local governments with no strings attached by the state, just the federal guidelines. So the governor announced quite some time ago that $200 million of that $1.25 billion would go to local governments, and the result would be a 20% reduction in property tax. Those numbers actually didn't work. Beyond that, a little later on, $12 million was pulled out of that, resulted in $188 million. And then later on, they discovered that if that money was utilized, that urban renewals would be hurt. And so an additional $11 million was pulled out of the original $200 million to cover urban renewals, which brought it down to $177 million. I have some real concerns here. The federal guidelines do not list property tax reduction as a valid use of the money. The governor has suggested using the money to reimburse law enforcement for COVID activities and for, and I quote, administrative convenience, count 100% law enforcement salaries. Our share of what the state is going to hand out is approximately $9.8 million. Again, my concern is this does not follow the federal guideline. We looked into the reporting. What does that amount to? And that would be that the county would report the use of those funds to the state of Idaho. In turn, the state of Idaho would send that to the U.S. Treasury, and then the U.S. Treasury would send that to the Office of Investigator General. So I looked at what are the duties of the OIG, and the first sentence, it says to investigate fraud and abuse. So I'm instantly just a little bit frightened by the whole thing. I have serious concerns that, and I just don't know if how we would report this. In other words, 100% going to law enforcement salaries when we probably couldn't prove that even 1% was of the law enforcement activities were geared towards COVID-19. I'm not sure that's going to fly. I really don't know. But in my zeal to provide property tax relief, I think I turned too much of a blind eye to the legalities and the mechanics of this program. And after a deeper dive and speaking to multiple people, including the Bonner County attorney that has filed suit against the state, again, I have grave concerns. And that concern would be, what if we have to pay it back? That would be a pretty tough situation. My original clerk suggested budget included the CARES money. I pulled that out at the very last moment. I explained to the commissioners, after we publish the budget, and it has been published, we can always go down on the property tax refund. We can't go up. So let's say, for some reason, that we find out that this CARES money can be utilized, that we think that it is a valid thing, we can still do that. We've opted in. It's not part of our budget now, but if something was to happen to where we think that this could actually work for us and not be a liability, we can still do that. Now, there's several things that could actually change. There's the court ruling as an example. We were hopeful that there would be something come out of the courts before now, but that has not happened. But sooner or later, there will be something. How will that go? Well, we don't know. We also have very good reason to believe that the feds may do an additional program and or make some changes to what we have now. Beyond that, the state could decide, particularly after it appears to me a good share of local governments in the state of Idaho are going to opt out of this program. It looks to me like most, for the same reasons that I am citing today. I think there's a chance when that happens that the governor and the state of Idaho could reevaluate this program and have something that looks well, it would have to look substantially different. So my point would be the current budget that we're working with tonight is property tax without the CARES money. I just want everybody to be clear is the door has not been slammed shut yet. There's some things that could happen. And I think I'll, from that point, turn it over to our controller, Zach, to go through budget.
Thank you, Chris. I may need some professional technology assistance here.
I wish we could go sit out there. It's right here.
And you have it there.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate what Michael said about being surrounded by good employees, good people. I am privileged to be surrounded by some immensely talented, dedicated individuals, the elected officials, department administrators, the employees of Canyon County, citizens, property taxpayers. Everyone plays a crucial part in the financial well-being and financial success of Canyon County. I'm very appreciative of the relationships of people that make this county a great, wonderful place to live. So thank you. Especially thank you to those elected officials who carry out their duties in a very competent, thoughtful, considerate manner. We have a 15-page budget in brief document that we'd like to review tonight. Page number 2 provides some detail regarding the county budget process and the participants in the process. Preparing a county budget is a time and labor-intensive process that requires the expertise and commitment from county elected officials and department administrators working cooperatively to develop a fiscally sound financial plan for the forthcoming fiscal year. Canyon County's fiscal year 2021 tentative budget is the result of dedicated efforts of county leadership and staff to complete and formalize a responsible financial plan including appropriate funding levels for need-driven expenditures. The budget formally begins in April. The county budget officer sends communication to elected officials and department administrators. In May, elected officials and department administrators submit budget requests and supporting detail to the budget officer. In June and July, the budget officer meets individually with elected officials and department administrators to review and discuss budget requests. In July, county leadership and the budget officer meet with the Board of County Commissioners to evaluate and consider budget requests. In June and August, the budget officer thoughtfully reviews budget requests and considers the county's current and projected financial position. Then by the first Monday in August, the budget officer presents a suggested budget and financial plan for the upcoming fiscal year to the Board of County Commissioners. By the third week of August, county commissioners evaluate the suggested budget, make adjustments they deem advisable, and approve a tentative budget for publication. And finally, on or before the Tuesday following the first Monday in September, the Board of County Commissioners approve and fix a final budget for the upcoming fiscal year. One of the key focal points for the fiscal year 2021 budget is property tax relief. And I believe that the 2021 fiscal year budget provides property tax relief. It is a property tax relief budget. Property tax is a vital source of revenue to the county. Property tax provides funding for mandatory and essential county functions, including our public safety functions, such as jail and patrol operations, juvenile detention and probation, criminal prosecution and coroner services. General government services are also supported by property tax. Those would include our court functions, property assessment, facilities maintenance, administrative, information technology, elections, treasury, human resources, communication, and food. Additional functions supported by property tax include our health, welfare, and indigency activities, such as public exams, indigent medical care assistance, and our annual contribution to Southwest District Health. Culture and recreation are also supported by property tax dollars. County Fair, County Extension Office, parks, cultural and natural resources all receive funding from property tax. Additionally, public works, the animal shelter, and our noxious weed control are supported in part by property tax money. The county is a key player in the property tax process. The county has multiple statutory responsibilities as it relates to property tax, and we perform the following core functions related to property tax. We are responsible for property assessment and valuation. We are responsible for equalization of assessments through the Board of Equalization. We are responsible to review and to verify property tax requests from over 60 Canyon County taxing entities. We're responsible for the calculation and the fixing of property tax levy rates. We're responsible for the billing and the collection of property taxes. And once those monies are collected, we are also responsible to remit those monies to the local taxing entity. And those responsibilities require the cooperation and support of multiple county offices, county commissioners, county assessor, the county treasurer, and the county clerk. And I would say there's a tremendous amount of cooperation and teamwork between those offices, and those functions are carried out in a very responsible, thorough, complete, accurate manner, day in and day out, done year in and year out. Thank you to those individuals who play a key role in that process. Well, there are a total of 67 separate and unique property tax entities in Canyon County. And again, Canyon County bills, collects, and remits property tax on behalf of all 67 property tax entities. Included are sample property tax allocations based on $150,000 of taxable value from tax year 2019. For a property within the city limits of Nampa, the largest share of property tax, nearly 44%, goes to the city of Nampa. The next largest share, at almost 25%, goes to the Nampa School District. And the third largest share, at 22%, is allocated to Canyon County. The total property tax for a property with that value in the city limits of Nampa is a little over $2,400, and Canyon County receives 22% of that amount. Even though the entire amount is paid to Canyon County, Canyon County does not receive the full proceeds of that payment. Those tax dollars are allocated and split between the various taxing entities. We've also included a property outside city limits, a property in unincorporated Canyon County. Same value, total tax, a little over $1,600. And in this case, at nearly 37%, the largest share of the property tax is allocated to the Nampa School District. Canyon County is responsible for roughly 33% of the tax for this specific property, and Nampa Fire District nearly 17% of the tax. Property not expressly exempted is subject to appraisal, assessment, and property taxation. Canyon County's estimated fiscal year 2021 net taxable value of property is a little over $17 billion. This amount equals a 12% or almost $1.8 billion increase from the prior fiscal year. In 2016, legislation was passed that capped the homeowner's exemption amount at $100,000. For properties that are owned and occupied by the residential owner, they're eligible for an exemption. And that amount is capped at $100,000. So in 2017, 13,801 properties in Canyon County were capped at the $100,000 amount. In 3 short years, in 2020, that number has nearly tripled. 38,629 properties are now capped at the maximum homeowner's exemption amount of $100,000. That amount has not been adjusted or indexed for tremendous inflation that we've seen in housing prices here in Canyon. It has remained the same, and the amount of houses now capped at the homeowner's exemption amount of $100,000 has nearly tripled in 3 years. So as a result of that, percentage of property taxes paid by residential properties from 2017 to 2020 has increased from 62% to 70%. Charts below show that change. That represents a shift in the responsible party for property tax payment. 62% to 70% over the last 3 years. So the county's annual property tax levy. Canyon County levied a little over $54 million in property tax to support the fiscal year 2020 budget. Property tax law allows the following additions or increases to the levy amount. A 3% increase of a little over $1.6 million. A new construction increase of $2.1 million. Additionally, previously foregone increases just under $6 million. The county has the authority to increase, add to our property tax budget by those amounts. What we've chosen to do for fiscal year 2021 is add $0 additional dollars for new construction. $0 additional dollars for a 3% increase, and $0 additional dollars for any previously foregone increases. Canyon County's fiscal year 2021 tentative property tax request is $53,970,567, slightly less what was requested in fiscal year 2020. This recaps highlights our commitment to property taxpayers in the fiscal year 2021 budget. Property tax freeze for fiscal year 2020. No additional property tax dollars levied from new construction with 3% increase. We're utilizing new growth. There has been new growth, tremendous new growth throughout the county. We are utilizing that new growth to lower the property tax levy rate. Those new properties will still contribute. They'll pay property tax. Together, everyone will enjoy a lower property tax levy rate. The projected levy rate for fiscal year 2021 is 0.00317. That is roughly an 11% decrease from the prior year's levy rate. Some details relating to our expenditure budget for fiscal year 2021. Overall, the total expenditure budget is down $995,921. Included in the 2021 tentative expenditure budget is $6.7 million for culture and recreation functions. That's an increase of $2.5 million from 2020. That increase is tied back to some significant capital investment projects included in the 2021 budget. A significant project at the Canyon County Fair, site improvement investment, $2.3 million project funded by the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency. Additionally, our parks team was awarded a grant, Celebration Park RV grant, to the tune of $440,000. Those increases are funded by other sources of revenue, grants, and the Urban Renewal Agency. Also included in the 2021 expenditure budget is $6.6 million for public works, and the majority of the increase there is tied back to our solid waste operations. County landfill receives no funding from property tax. That funding is entirely supported by user fees. Public safety represents the largest portion or the largest share of the county's expenditure budget. So over $47.3 million is budgeted in 2021 for our public safety functions. Our health, welfare, and indigent budget is $10.3 million, and that represents a decrease of over $700,000 from fiscal year 2020. We're anticipating decreased expenditures in our indigent medical care and assistance programs. For our general government functions, $32.6 million is budgeted for general government services. It's a decrease of $2.6 million from the prior fiscal year. Decrease is tied back to decrease for our capital investment line. In 2020, we budgeted $4 million, largely for improvements in our voter experience, voter security, voting equipment. We included $1 million in the 2021 expenditure budget for general county capital investments. Total expenditure budget for 2021, $103,755,438. Again, a decrease of nearly $1 million from the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget. Canyon County is largely a service-oriented industry. We are in the business of providing services. Well-trained, knowledgeable, qualified, and skilled personnel ensure county services are capably delivered in a professional and timely manner. Canyon County's fiscal year 2021 tentative salary and benefits budget amount a little over $68 million. And that is an overall decrease, a reduction of $170,000 from the prior fiscal year's salaries and benefits budget. The fiscal year 2021 tentative budget includes a responsible and sensible investment in our valuable personnel. Budgetary savings have been realized from unfunded positions in areas of decreased activity, including indigent medical care and assistance, and juvenile detention. The budget does not include an across-the-board or a COLA increase. What the budget does include is continued implementation of the county compensation plan with step advancements for eligible personnel. The budget does include additional positions in critical areas of need, including driver's license, jail security services, and solid waste operations. We've included 2 positions of driver's license, 2 customer service positions. The total budgeted amount for salary and benefits, $96,000. 6 deputy sheriff positions in jail operations, in courts and transports. The total budgeted amount of $384,000, and a fee collector position for solid waste operations, the total budgeted amount of $48,000. Canyon County's fiscal year 2021 other operating expenditures and capital budget. A fiscally sound and responsible budget considers current needs and looks forward to ensure that future plans and obligations will have sufficient financial resources available to enable continued success in service delivery. The budget process demands difficult decisions that must balance the needs of multiple stakeholders, including our citizens and property taxpayers, whose financial support is critical in the realization of county goals and objectives. For Canyon County's 2021 tentative other operating expenditures and capital budget is a little over $35.5 million. Included in there is over $9 million budgeted for investment in capital items, including $989,500 for a compactor to assist with solid waste operations, $1.6 million, including previously accrued fund balance for a county fair expo building, $2.3 million in funding from the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency, the Site Improvement Investments Project at County Fair, $1 million in emergency communications funding for a radio tower project, providing enhanced communication capabilities. $444,125 in grant funding for the Celebration Park Recreational Vehicle Improvement Project, A total of $769,000 budgeted for public safety and other county vehicles, and $1 million budgeted for capital investments, including general county capital. Where does the money come from to make this happen? Canyon County works diligently to expand revenue sources outside of property tax. Grants, fund balance, charges for services, licenses, permits, revenues other than property tax are maximized to limit reliance on property tax. A broad and diverse sources of revenue are utilized to protect property taxpayers and promote the county's financial security. Our licenses and permits generate $2.5 million in funding. Our intergovernmental revenues, including sales tax allocations from the state and other monies from other governments, total over $20 million. Charges for services revenues such as landfill fees, recording fees, other charges for services generate over $18.3 million in funding. Fines, interest, and miscellaneous generate $3.7 million in funding. Our current property tax levy generates $53.9 million in funding. And budget to be balanced utilizes a little under $5 million in fund balance, bringing the total funding $103,755,438, which equals a balanced budget for fiscal year 2021. Canyon County budget contains a lot of numbers. It may appear to be about numbers, but ultimately, I believe the budget's about people. Citizens, property taxpayers, elected officials, department administrators, and employees are all essential components of the county budget. And by thoughtful allocation of resources, fundamental services are delivered in an extraordinary manner. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Zach. Are there any questions from the board at this time?
I don't have any.
You don't have any?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Very good. We are going to move into public testimony. And first signed up, we have Matt Toback. If you would please put your name and address on the record right up here. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'll try to be brief and take only 2 or 3 minutes of your time. My name is Matt Toback, and you wanted my address, you said?
Yeah.
It's 2450 West Canal Street, Boise.
Okay.
I'm a local government policy analyst with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. I'm here today to urge the Commission to participate in the property tax reduction plan, which was announced by Governor Little on June 8th. That plan would allow Idaho taxpayers to keep more of their hard-earned money during this time of economic hardship for so many people, while also ensuring Canyon County does not have to make any cuts to public safety. These savings are accomplished through CARES Act funds, which have already been allocated to the state of Idaho and are yet to be fully dispersed. Under this plan, if a locality certifies to the state on their property tax levy that they will freeze their property taxes for fiscal year 2021, at this year's level of collections, they will receive CARES Act funds equal to the payroll costs of covering local fire, local police, and EMS services. In this case, in the case of Canyon County, I believe that amount would be in excess of $10 million. Accepting these funds would mean a locality would not be able to use any foregone balances in the current fiscal year, but I'd like to note as well that the plan does still allow for property tax collections to reflect the value of new construction. Effectively, therefore, under this property tax savings plan, since the state would be covering emergency workers' payroll costs, localities would no longer have to collect those funds from taxpayers, thereby reducing taxes. Currently, it's my understanding that Canyon County has submitted a letter of intent to participate in this plan. However, it has yet to certify on their property tax levy that it will not be raising its property taxes by the 3% increase that does not include growth. If the county were to do so, it would be eligible for these CARES Act funds and simply deduct the amount saved, and taxpayers would then derive those savings. Also, it's my understanding that the county has until mid-September at the latest to do so. With that, I urge this commission to participate in this program and certify on their property tax levy that it will freeze property taxes for fiscal year 2021, so that taxpayers can enjoy the same long overdue property tax savings that are being enjoyed elsewhere in the state and be able to keep more of their hard-earned money. Participation will ensure, again, not only that Canyon County will be able to maintain the level of services they're currently providing to the public, but that they will be able to do so while at the same time providing property tax relief. I would like to also briefly say, as far as federal guidelines, it's my understanding that there are no federal guidelines. I believe Alex Adams has been in close communication with the federal government on this. There's no federal guidelines that I'm aware of that would in any way whatsoever prohibit the use of CARE Act funds. And I'm not aware of any pushback at all on that front with regard to this being an improper use of funds. So I don't see any fear as far as having to pay back those funds. And I would also, again, just say that I believe there is a deadline of mid-September. And that's all I have.
Very good. Any questions?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Tobeck,
I
very
have a
much.
question.
Oh,
You are an attorney for or with the Idaho Freedom Foundation, is that correct?
I'm not an attorney. I did graduate from law school this May and just took the bar exam, and I'm waiting for the results, which also come in September.
Okay,
Well, good luck.
So I'm not a practicing attorney.
but you are with the Idaho Freedom
At the
Foundation?
Idaho Freedom Foundation, I'm a local government policy analyst.
Very good. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Hubert Osborne.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and greetings, commissioners. Other elected officials. It's surprising how things change in 6 or 8 months. Interesting time for all of us. And I don't want to say too much about what happens at the legislature, but it seems that when they have to, counties and cities and school districts can bring in their budgets. And I am proud of NAMPA. I applaud Canyon County for staying within their budget. And the school district, I understand, is stayed within their budget also. So I think I will be pleasantly surprised when I get my property tax bill 1 week after the election. Page 8 pretty well says it all. No property tax increase. And I applaud those who put that together. We've had some interesting conversations. The shift in taxation continues. I hope the legislature will address that. But it is what it is for this year. And I thank each of you for holding the line on property taxes this year. I would like to say a word about the foregone. You have qualified, so you qualified the budget so that you can take care of it. And I would hope that that will be a reduction, further reduction in property taxes. I think every property tax owner in Canyon County would appreciate that. The legal things, I defer to others, but
I'll just have to leave it at that. I hope you will not take the 3% foregone. I think Pam and I discussed that earlier, and you've seen my emails also. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, and thank you, Budget Director. Great.
Thanks, Hubert.
I have a question, Hubert, and just very quickly. What one thing, if you were in the legislature, what would you do? What would be your plan for reducing for property tax change?
Well, I've said it many times. I would like to see a shift to sales taxes to fund at least a portion of the school budgets, and the increased income that the state is getting from online purchases, as I understand it, is going into a separate fund, and it is just accumulating. I think that would be a good start on where to get some property tax relief.
Thank you. Thank you. Zach?
Yes, Madam Chair.
I have a question for you. Did you figure out if we got we weren't going to get 10 or 11 million, what were we going to get time we had to pay back urban renewal and all that?
It would end up being roughly around $9 million.
Okay, and did you, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. Did you figure out what kind of a percentage of property tax decrease where we would be? Because, I mean, the figures that have been in the paper have been anywhere from, what, 20 to 24, something like that percent? Okay. Did you do a figuring on the 9 million?
On Madam Chair, on 9 million, the property tax savings would be around 4%.
For Canyon County? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I appreciate Hubert. Good testimony, really appreciate it. And the one thing I would say to agree with you on is that sales tax money that's being collected for the online sales is not being shared with local governments like other sales tax money is. That's my understanding, correct? It's being put into a special fund, not shared out with counties and cities.
As long as the business has no physical presence in the state of Iowa.
Right, right. So that is money that, and I think that's for the first 5 years or something of that. Hopefully, the legislature will see that that's sales tax money that ought to be equally distributed as they do the rest of sales tax money. So hopefully that can come about.
Yes.
Question for Matt. Matt, is it?
Yes, Matt.
Wayne Hoffman and I are friends. Would you ask him to send me a letter personally guaranteeing no liabilities to the CARES Act?
I certainly convey that your request.
Thank you.
He's not an attorney.
That'd be swell.
Yeah.
This is a public hearing. Anybody else that missed your opportunity to sign up? You have something that you would like to contribute? Okay.
There was one of the person on the WebEx who's not an employee, Charles Bruner, but it looks like he's dropped off. I just wanted to know if he was there.
He is city council for the city of Nampa. Okay.
He's no longer on.
He's no longer on. Okay, and no other.
Madam Chair, seeing no one coming forward to speak, I'd make a motion we close public comment.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have some time here to discuss, or how do you want to proceed? Leslie? Commissioner Van Beek, pardon me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start by saying I too appreciate the diligence that's gone into this budget to reduce the amount of property tax burden on Canyon County citizens. I recognize the effort that has been put forth on the part of the clerk and the controller, and I have personally spent several hundred hours evaluating this budget, not only because I'm new, but because I am interested and because I apparently like the learning process. As you know, the board and the clerk and the controller met yesterday to discuss proposals that were put forth additionally that would have augmented the property tax relief. And that was a suggestion to reduce the fund balance for the current expense fund by $375,000 and eliminate the portion of fund balance going in, so that would effectively be $1 million. And then to take a portion, to ask the consideration of a portion of the CARES funding and the effect of what that would do for Canyon County taxpayers. So that, and then as I've visited with the state of Idaho, state of County, with Tampa and Caldwell, there is an effort on each one of those entities to not freeze wages, but to put what they're calling a wage pause until we get past the general election, until we look at what is going to be collected for property tax and sales tax revenue. So in the state of Idaho, Alex Adams said, taking a conservative approach in the event of recession, Canyon County taxpayers have had to tighten their belts, and he said, we feel we should do the same. So they are not granting a 2% increase. They are truly on a freeze, no hiring and no wage increase there. So with the proposals that I put forth in that with the $1 million, the wage pause, and a $2 million allocation, which could be recovered in the next year. So what we're talking about is risk mitigation and looking and making an educated guess at what would happen in worst case scenario if Canyon County had to repay that. You could do without the new construction that was taken next year. I had a conversation this afternoon about 420 with Mike Morrow, who's at the legislative session, and he asked about our budget, and his words were, this is designed to be part of tax relief. So this is a kind of a remix of what he proposed last year, which has been picked up this year by our clerk and controller. But in addition to that, what they really wanted to see was that Canyon County use the opportunity to provide that CARES Act funding. It was problematic for me in that it would have provided a temporary one-year reduction in property taxes with no real plan for recovering that the following year. So in the absence of permanent property tax relief, we can cut services. Those will have to be added back. And to have wage increases on a year where it's been difficult for county residents, I am not in favor of that. And so had we taken that, there's 95,000 assessed parcels in Canyon County. Only 6,482 of those parcels, or 7%, would have experienced a wage or an assessment, an increase in their property taxes had we been able to put those numbers together and utilize that. The current budget as presented does present an 11% drop in the levy rate, but 32,372 parcels, or 34% of Canyon County taxpayers will experience increases. So that becomes significant in terms of property tax relief then. And then, again, on evaluating the revenues, there are a number of components on the wage portion. I agree that we have excellent employees, that they deliver services in a very efficient manner. We're looking to see how that will increase with COVID, given the move toward technology that we're making. But a pause in that, and the biggest component that I have with this is that whether you call it a STEP program, whether it's equity, merit, bonus, whatever that is, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces with that. I have pored over that. I have not been able to get those numbers to balance or to make sense. It does appear that there's been significant in 5 years. Some of those increases are at 30%. I do not think that's commensurate with market value or market compensation out there. And so because if I can't explain it to a citizen, and that's what I'm paid to do, then we need to pause. I would submit that that should be classified under non-appropriation for a board, especially with a new member. They have to be analyzed and evaluated on an annual basis to the point where we understand that. So I fundamentally disagree that we can allocate the authority to a committee, but we cannot delegate the legal and the fiscal responsibility to assume the responsibility for the actions of that committee. So in the absence of a true understanding of what that STEP program looks like, because we have a presidential election approaching and because we are uncertain really on the revenues that will come in, that did not allow me, in addition to the CARES and just the different things that could have provided greater property tax relief that would have lowered the levy rate 18.6%. That becomes significant even in terms of looking at the governor's program where we would have had to recover. This is a mitigated risk that I personally would have been able to be comfortable with. So in summary, this is the year for me to stand with the taxpayer. Government employees have kept their jobs, their salaries, and their benefits. I do believe in our employees, and I believe they should be compensated at fair market. But I also believe that we have to take care of the taxpayer. So in short, I am fairly confident this budget will pass, but I will be back next year with more suggestions for the budget, calling for greater transparency and accountability and efficiency. It is my privilege to serve as a District 1 Commissioner, and I take that responsibility and the discharge of my duties very seriously. The other thing I would like to propose as we look at next year is that in the Ada County adopted budget, I've also spent time talking with the chairman of the board for Ada County, the human resource director, and the controller for Ada County. I inherently like the layout of the budget, and what it does is it provides a 4-year budget to actual comparison for all the departments and where they're going. The capital improvement plan, which I have pushed and pushed and pushed since I was elected to office, we're going to gain traction on that this next year. They have laid out the projects in a plan that shows what they've accomplished, the dollar amount of the layout. It's very transparent and easy to read, and so I fundamentally like that and where the funds are at and going. And thank you for the opportunity to comment and provide feedback as District 1 Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Van Beek. Commissioner Dale?
Well, thank you. I would be remiss if I did not begin my comments by thanking these two gentlemen over here for all of their work. Clerk Yamamoto and Controller Zach Wagner have expertise in this field and have provided their guidance in preparing this budget every year. This is the 6th opportunity I've had to participate in this process. And as you all probably know, it is my last opportunity that I get to be a part of this important process. And I have to say that over the 6 years and 6 budgets that I've worked with the county, and I have to remind you that I did 18 budgets with the city of Nampa prior to this. And I have to say that my respect and my trust and my appreciation for the incredible guidance that we have received from these individuals and their department, it has grown every year. And I really want to say thank you, Chris and Zach, from the bottom of my heart, necessarily. You know, every year we work for a balanced budget. Now, you're all aware that the state of Idaho requires that cities and counties balance their budgets with the numbers. That's not what I'm talking about. We work for a balanced budget where the needs of the county services and the amount of dollars available to pay for those needs are looked at very carefully, and we balance those. We juggle them, we move them around. Every year there are things that Canyon County elected officials and our department directors bring up that are needed for them to accomplish their services and their responsibilities. And as the county grows, those responsibilities grow. And so we have increases that are naturally occurring with the incredible growth that we have seen over the last how many years, whatever. I have learned that these incredible public servants, the elected officials, the other 6 elected officials, and our incredible department heads, I will put our department heads up against any department heads out there in the state of Idaho. We have an incredible team that I've had the privilege to work with over the last 6 years. These people present budgets to us that are incredibly conservative. They understand and stand for the property taxpayers. they stand up for the property taxpayers. And they present a budget that expresses their needs, but it doesn't go overboard and get ludicrous. They do not make frivolous requests, and they are all very aware of the impacts of property taxpayers that supplying those needs may have. And I will have to say that every year there are more needs presented than there are funds to pay for those needs. This is particularly true under those items that fall under the heading of capital improvement needs. And so we have to balance those needs, prioritizing them and delaying some for future years. There has never been a year where everybody got everything they asked for. Not since I've been here, and probably not in your history as well. That just does not occur. Last year, we put $500,000 into a line for capital improvement. And we had money in that line item previously. We had to expend some of those monies to fill holes that were evident in our compensation plan. We were losing 25% of our employees every year. We had a healthcare budget that was going into the zero to the minus category for our self-insured healthcare program. You can't let that happen. Can't let that happen. So we had to fill those needs with that money. We made a good start on putting money aside for unanticipated needs that may come up. A roof goes bad, air conditioning, heating system goes down. We have to replace those things. We got to have some funds to do that. That's we put $500,000 in last year. We got another $500,000 in this year. If you just have $1 million in there, that doesn't go very far when it comes to buildings like this. We need to keep those in there. As I go through the process of studying the needs and wants of the county offices and departments, my attitude has always been that I work for you. I work for you. Tell me what you need. Tell me what resources, what tools, what personnel you need to do your job, and I'll do my best to get it for you. Once again, the balancing act kicks in, and we have to balance those needs and resource requests with the money available to pay for them. The 21 budget that we are considering today has a focus on controlling property tax spending, and it provides real, sustainable, and ongoing property tax relief. Chris and Zach have presented a budget to us that accomplishes that goal. We have a balanced budget that meets the needs for the coming year with an eye to the future years. And I agree that it would be really nice to have a capital improvement plan that lays out all of the needs for the county. We're aware of those needs. The budget planning directors of each elected official's office and our various departments lay those out for us nearly every year. And there's some of those things we put off and we save money for, and we put off and we save money for. It'd be good to have those collated into one central place, and that's what a capital improvement plan book would do for us. And I'm in favor of that. I think that's a great idea. We have a balanced budget that cares for the needs, that meets the needs for the coming year. It takes care of our most valuable asset, our people, and it moves the county forward. We're holding the budget line on property tax budget on a freeze, but we're still moving forward, and that's not easy to accomplish. As we move the county forward, all of these needs are being met while not increasing the property tax budget by the allowable 3%. And it also does not add the property taxes that we will collect from the new construction to the base. Instead, that new construction tax money, as has been explained by Zach, will serve to lower the property tax levy rate for all property tax payers. And that's a great thing. We are standing for property taxpayers in Canyon County. And I just want to address for a moment that elephant that has been in the room. And we've gotten a few letters or emails over the course of today regarding this CARES money. And I am a person who has been consistent throughout the time that since this was first proposed by the governor, saying, if we can do this and it does not have negative consequences or liabilities for the county, we need to do it. I want to do it. I want to take this money. But it's got to be a guaranteed, solid, surefire thing that's not come back and bite us in the rear in some future date. Half of Idaho's counties opted in to participate in the program, only half initially. Of those people, of those counties that opted in, and we had a call today with our legislative committee, and I did not hear anyone who has included that money in their budget so far. They're all waiting to hear and see in writing that guarantee that says this is allowable and it's illegal and it's able to happen without negative consequences. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what we're all waiting for. I've told a couple of people that I wrote back to and said, I rely on 3 experts in the field of finance and the field of legal questions to help me determine whether or not we should take this money. And those people are sitting in this room. And that's our clerk and our treasurer and our legal counsel back here and Brian Taylor. If we can be satisfied that we can do this and it's legal and it's right and it's allowable, I'll vote for it. But we got to have that in our assurance. We got to have that in our pocket before we say yes. If the questions are adequately answered, we can still choose to participate in this up to, we don't know the exact deadline, but we can still do it as has been explained to you. But I want to say this, and I will, well, two more things, and then I'll be finished, Madam Chair. Regarding taking a portion of the CARES Act money that's available as opposed to taking the whole thing, listen, if it's right, take everything we're able to take and put that towards property tax relief. I don't think there's any real benefit to just taking a portion of it if we don't have the questions answered. Questions get answered, take it all. And I'll close with saying this, that with or without that CARES dollar, tax relief money is a one-time deal. Hear me well. This budget is a property tax relief budget, and I support it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Dale. I'm going to come at the CARES money from a little bit different angle, and that is women's intuition. And those of you that have wives, sisters, daughters, mothers, you should by now have learned to trust women's intuition. And when I heard about that grand gift that was going to reduce property taxes and everything else, my gut did a somersault. And it wasn't indigestion, because it has just been something that is just, it's just nagging me. And I can't put my finger on it. And Hubert is right. We kind of had a conversation. I haven't seen him for a while, and he's been around, and he's a good guy to talk to, and I love to hear his opinions, and we don't always agree, but I always learn when I talk to him. And I told him, I just have a gut feeling about this. So from the very beginning, this commissioner has said, I don't think so. I think that, and I really appreciate the due diligence on the behalf of Canyon County that Clerk Yamamoto and the controller, Zach Wagner, Chris, Zach, thank you for the due diligence. And Chris is right. He was all over, I want to say like stink on manure, but that's not good for a public meeting. He was all over taking that money. He was. And then he got in front of us, and he had to back up a little bit and say, you know what? Legal is, we're not going to run the risk or put a challenge up, or we're not doing a pony race here. So we're going to pause. I like Commissioner Van Beek's word, pause. And right now we're waiting for information on that. So that speaks to that. With our budget and everything, I want to say thank you, Commissioner Van Beek. I appreciate the time you put into it. I appreciate her questions come from different angles and a different point of view. And Commissioner Dale, thank you. It's the same. This is the hardest job I've ever had. And 3 people have to come together, at least 2 of us, to agree. And I'll tell you what, we're all not shy and retiring. So
Some of us are retiring.
well, but you're not shy, so he's retiring. But I really appreciate both of you very, very much working with you. It's been a privilege, and it is a privilege to serve as a commissioner, and I'm very appreciative. I look around this room, and I have to say, we have the county clerk, Chris Yamamoto. Tracy Lloyd is our Canyon County treasurer. She's sitting. Hi, Tracy. Brian Taylor, Canyon County prosecuting attorney. Good to have you here. Brian Sender, Canyon County assessor. Yes, good to have you here. Thank you. Let me see, who else have I got? Did I miss one? Then there's the 3 of us, of course. Okay, I think we're good here. But I said Chris Yamamoto, yeah. No, and I said, so many of you are department heads from misdemeanor probation and the Juvenile Detention Center. Marv DeShiel, our chief deputy in the sheriff's office. AJ Wander over there, who is weed and pest control. Thank you for what you do. And Monica Reeves, who is, she's our life support in the commissioner's office. So, yeah, isn't she? Yeah. So Erin Pizzoli, who is the chief public defense. And here, Tricia Nielsen, hi Tricia, she is the head of our DSD department, which is known in other places as planning and zoning. Elda Calano, she's sitting over here. Elda, yes, she is juvenile probation. Just got that. Now let me see. Let me look. Who did I? Denise. Yes, Denise Kennel from upstairs in the clerk's department, works with all of those court. Boy, oh boy, good job. Huge job. See, you wouldn't want to be you. Okay. But with regard to the budget, I will just say this. We are Canyon County, and we are unique, creative, we are strong, we're courageous, we're conservative. We're very different from counties on either boundary. We're very different. And in our differences, we are very independent also. And I think the citizens of Canyon County have elected officials to take care of the services that they are due as citizens of Canyon County. And they've come to expect good service, and I think they get fine. And I'll tell you the thing that's most impressive about our elected officials is they have a heart for service. Really, they do. They have a heart for service. And you know what? And I think they actually get emotional about the job that they're tasked to perform. So I think they're very sincere, and I appreciate so much how they come together as a team with us, the Board of Canyon County Commissioners, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I appreciate how they come together and we work as a team. This COVID thing has been, I'm an old woman and I have never in my life lived through times like this. Tracy's agreeing with me. It is just when you think you're kind of shifting around, something else comes up and it's just like, you've got to be, yeah, Erin, you've got to be kidding me. It's like, now what, you know? And then they've added so many symptoms that you can't get up in the morning without experiencing 1 or 2 symptoms of COVID. So it's just like, oh, we've not ever had anything like it. So I am so appreciative of the people that I work with and the people that you know what? people can say, they'll ask, and I have this saying that I don't know, but I know where to find out. And those individuals are sitting in this room if I get a question like that. So with regard to this budget, us as individuals, us as unique citizens, and that's the one thing, is I appreciate Commissioner Van Beek said she stands with the taxpayers. Well, that's me. That's all of us, you know? She speaks for herself as well on that one. That's all of us. We're taxpayers. We're citizens of Canyon County. And we strive to make the decisions that will make your life the best. Not easy. Not easy. Nobody's promised any of us an easy path. But I want the best for the citizens of Canyon County. And I think this budget is a property tax relief budget. And it is not I think the way where they preface this, my ulcer problem here, is it was a one-time. Is that not how it came across too in the advertising, the big gift? One-time tax relief. Maybe that's why my gut turned over, because I got so afraid about the next time. So, but I'm very appreciative to the time put into this, and I will support the fiscal year 2021 budget. Anything else? Anybody I want you to, Brian, I saw you writing a bunch of notes. Now, I don't know if that's to your wife or you want to talk, but I'd sure like to hear it.
I'm a lawyer, I like to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's those public comments, so I don't know.
Well, you're an elected official.
So, no, the commissioner.
I don't think it's a.
My fellow commissioners, department heads, I know the public is present, always wants to hear, but I think the budget is a great one. It does the property tax relief on the citizen, unlike Hubert. Getting tired of getting these assessment notices. I'm trying to tell him not to stop sending them to Hubert, but he won't. But also takes care of the most important asset, that's the employees in the county. And I know there's been concerns or questions with regards to the compensation. We spent many, many years on the compensation plan, and it's why we retain such amazing people now. So we are keeping them, and I think going forward, taking care of our employees, as you can see, is county elected officials held really strong with not asking, going more with less, and I think you'll see that continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. And I agree, our employees are our most valuable asset. I want to just say to Hubert Osborne and Matt Tobeck, thank you for taking the time to be here and share with us and reach out. I really appreciate that, and thank you very, very much. At this time,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I mentioned earlier that Darrell Berger was out there.
yes.
He sent a message in the chat. He says, please accept the CARES money this budget year to lower citizen property tax. The city of Tampa has applied for the $11 million CARES money, and Canyon County needs to follow suit.
Thank you, Monica. And is there,
Sorry, there was
Darrell?
another line. The law issue will be settled with so many Idaho state counties and municipalities accepting the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, Madam Chair, with that, I appreciate that note from Darrell, but I will note that City of Nampa does not include that money in their budget as they approved it the other night, neither did the City of Caldwell. They're both in the same boat as we are, waiting to see if it's appropriate. So I just make that note that they did not put it in their budget.
Thank you, Commissioner Dale. I didn't realize that. Okay. What say you?
Madam Chair, if you're ready for a motion, I will look at making a motion here. And I think there's a couple of motions we need to do here.
Yes,
Are there three that have to happen, Zach, or
there
Monica?
is.
Are there three?
We approve the budget and the dollar certifications of the request forms. We approve or deny the resolution reserving the right to recover the foregone.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the Canyon County fiscal year 2021 budget and the dollar certifications of the budget request forms.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against?
The dollar certifications, Madam Chair, they've been presented for weed and pest, so I am in favor of that and opposed to the budget as presented, so just a clarification there.
Thank you, Commissioner Van Beek.
Madam Chair, the second item that we need to take a motion on is the approval or denial of a resolution reserving the right to recover the fiscal year 2021 foregone new construction property tax. I will make a motion that we approve a resolution reserving the right to recover the 2021 foregone new construction property tax increase. This does not include reserving the 3%. That will go away.
And a second note, Madam Chair, I did have a really productive conversation this afternoon with,
Should I second? I'll second this for purpose of discussion.
just for the record, then, that puts the county's foregone a little over $8 million, $8,093,501.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Van Beek. Okay, moved and seconded to approve the resolution reserving the right to recover the fiscal year 2021 foregone. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Monica, did we get everything?
we did.
Cool.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much, and that will conclude this year's budget public hearing. Thank you. I think it's neat to have